evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Njenje Media TV. Mazi is okay speaking to us this evening. I hope you all can hear me loud and clear. It has been a very long time that I haven't spoken to us. Oh, so if you can hear me loud and clear, as usual, may I know where you are watching me from? We are going to have an interesting conversation this evening. This evening, we will be looking at the Igbo leaders that have gone to Abuja and what they discussed with President Muhammadu Buhari regarding the release, as some may put it, the unconditional release of Mazim Nnamdi Kanu, and what did Buhari say to him, or rather to them, after the meeting. We will also look at something that many of you may have seen, and that is the prediction that America will get a female president. By the affirmation of President Joe Biden going into um, going into hospital today and writing a letter saying that he has handed over the reign of office to the vice president, which ought to be. Now, some people, some of you who are very naughty, have started saying, why is it that that doesn't happen in your neck of wood? And I would say, the last time it happened in your neck of wood and an official letter was written, um, the person who was the vice president sacked the head of DSS, and some of the cabals weren't happy about it. So after the sack of the head of the DSS, then that never happened again. Rather, what we hear now is that when your own president travels, all we can hear is that he has traveled on a walking visit. Therefore, even if he's in a hospital receiving blood transfusion, while they are transfusing the blood, he will still be walking. I mean, come on, people. And I mean, as you can see here, playing beside me is the visit today by the Igbo leaders of thought. These are the pillars of the great Igbo nation. You know, that's why many of you may never and will never probably understand when we say that there is no need to insult the elders. We can all disagree because when push come to shove, you see, those of them you can see in that picture are being vilified, are being insulted, yet when push come to shove, there will still be the same people that will do the needful. And I am happy to see a great one there, Chief Mbazulika Mechi, and um, and the former governor of Anambra State, Chief Dr. Okwadike Chukwemeka Ezife, the former governor of Anambra State. Um, you know, so having said that, people, once more, I welcome you all this evening. I am still Mazes, okay, and this is Njenje Media TV. If this is your first time of watching me, please do something. Just click that like button. Make that like button go up. Just you know, just click the like button and let us enjoy this conversation. You cannot be joining my hangout without something to drink. So I would say, while I pour myself something, so I wouldn't show you what I'm pouring, but it's something that is well tapped, So I wouldn't show you what I'm pouring. I want you to go get something also to pour for yourself. See, I want you. So go grab something also to pour for yourself. So let us pour it. Okay. So we are going to pour it. So I say cheers. Mm. That's very good. So, for my evening conversation, we will always have fun, and we look at serious issues as well. Now, before I go on, I will say good evening, El Ani, Johnny Kosi, Nathaniel Okoye, Aku Enwebe Biski. Now, Annie is watching from Northampton, United Kingdom. Papobi Nonye Dot is, uh, yes, we are pouring something from the, I'm pouring, you know, in the absence of palm wine, I can pour fermented brukutu. I hope you people know that. There is a way you ferment brukutu. Let it mix its way in a flask. Then it will turn out the way you may wish that it turns out. So, Akonwebe say, who are the Igbo leaders? Well, Igbo have leaders, and as the video here is playing, so you may, seize the opportunity to know who the Igbo leaders are. And we do have Igbo leaders, and we respect them. We respect them because this platform is not in the league of people who just come online and insult their leaders, because as we say in Igbo, oluo na omume enibe efie enibe mbụba na efidobie mbụba achụba, because na asị na nwata bunye nne ya ngwongwo na ngwongwo ya chie ya anya, ndọkwụ maka ngwongwo na ngwongwo ịyachi nwata anya ka eji ekwu ma eve enwe. So, Maz, you're talking in slow motion. I don't know. Maybe my my internet is slow motioning me. I don't know. But be that is, man. Be that is, man, people. Thank you once more for joining me. So, like I said, what is happening is that, the Igbo leaders today went to see Mr. President, and these are men that you will be glad. I mean, anyone who will tell me that he has anything against the OB of Onitsha, Dr. Achebe, or my mentor and my great leader in the person of Chief Mbazulike Amechi, a man who is 93 years old, and yet he still find the time to go to Abuja and to interface with the president. The same thing applies to the great one, Chief Chukwuemeka Ezife, the former governor of Anambra State. And these are men who went to see Mr. President today on behalf of Ndibo. And when someone begins to question and say who are the Igbo leaders, and I take offense to that, because I see that as an insult to the great people of Ndibo, and to me as a titled chief as well. Juliet Akujeze, thank you very much for joining me. It's nice catching you online today. So, people, do us one thing. Thank you for coming. And I am still Mazes, okay, and this is my real face. So, people, let's get started. Now, this is the video today from the great Igbo leaders. Let's have them come in and show us what they discussed with the president today.
Fear everywhere. During the closed-door engagement, Chief Amechi pleaded.
So let's start that again.
Amechi, State House correspondent Adam Osombo tells us more.
The 93-year-old statesman, Chief Mbazulike Amechi, had described.
Did you hear that? Sorry, before I let that continue. The 93-year-old Chief Mbazulike Amechi, for Christ's sake, accord him some respect. Not many of us will get to that age. And for him to get to that age and still sound in health, mentally, and otherwise, here you saw the you look at this man there. I might probably try to bring him on maybe to today or no tomorrow or next, and let's discuss these visit, in a greater detail. That is Chief Gode Owazurike, former chairman of Aki Kenga Lagos, and he was one of those sent out by Ndibo, sorry, by Ohaneze Ndibo to represent, as part of the legal team. He went there with the Chief Chukwemeke Ezife. Sadly, they were locked out, by the DSS. Again, DSS is taking more than they can chew. But be that as may, let's
The
continue.
situation in the southeast as painful and pathetic, lamenting that businesses have collapsed, education is crumbling, and there is fear everywhere. During the closed-door engagement, Chief Amechi pleaded for a political rather than military solution, requesting that if Nnamdi Kanu is released to him as the only First Republic minister still alive, he would no longer say the things he had been saying, stressing that he could control him. The Nigerian said twice he had interfaced with Nnamdi Kanu in the past, and the latter rescinded orders earlier given on civil disobedience. He concluded that he doesn't want to leave this planet without peace, returning to his country, maintaining that he believes in one big, united Nigeria, efforts in Africa. Chief Amechi told President Buhari that he wants him to be remembered as a person who saw Nigeria burning and quenched the fire. President Muhammadu Buhari told his guests that they have made an extremely difficult demand on him as leader of the country. The implication of their request, he said, is very serious. The president takes pride in the fact that since coming to power in the last 6 years, nobody would say he had confronted or interfered in the work of the judiciary. He told the leader of the highly respected Igbo greats that God has not only spared and given him a clear head at this age, but also very sharp memory, saying a lot of people half his age are confused already. The demand made, President Buhari said, is heavy, concluding, however, that he would consider it. The president said when Nnamdi Kanu jumped bail, got arrested, and brought back to the country, his position remains he be subjected to the system to make his case in court instead of giving very negative impressions of the country from outside. The president feels it's even a...
Okay. Now, these are the follow. Many of you, you've watched this now, and here are my responses. Here, my responses are as follows. That said, that that he was arrested in and brought back to the country. I don't know. I once worked with NTA, but I think NTA is getting is. I remember in the 90s, I actually worked with NTA. What's it called? Ahmadu Bello way, but I think NTA is getting worse by day. It's getting worse. Now, people, to set the record straight, according to the lawyers, there is a legal term for that type of extradition. It's called extraordinary rendition. So someone was renditioned. Now, I do agree with Buhari. You say you bring him to court to have his day. I say, okay, bring him to court. Question then is, why is it that it appears the government is playing a hanky-panky game of bringing him to court? Because, yes, he's been brought to court the last time. All of you saw what happened as the lawyer was at the door with his bags or with their bags. They have seen their client before and had gone out because there was some sort of altercation at the door, and they stood at the door. The DSS locked the door against them. Now, some media houses reported it as something that was, the way and manner they reported it. Some say they walked out. Obviously, they didn't, because on this platform, on that same day, I had Chief Gode Wazurike on the phone, and he spoke on this platform saying that such a manner of activity in his over 40 years of legal practice in Nigeria, he hasn't seen such. But be that as it may, the key point here this evening, people, is that you see, there is a form of negotiation and there is a form of engagement ongoing, and that is welcome. Because I keep telling us, out of youthful exuberance, out of many people wanting to do things different, there is one thing we must all bear in mind. You can go to war, you can bomb everywhere, you can shoot everybody, you can do whatever you want. People, at the end of the day, at of in every war, it must end up in a round table. Now, if this table is square, please let us make it round. If we know that after every conflict, there ought to be a round table, please can we begin to come together in that round table? It appears sections of this country are willing and ready and doing everything to come to the round table. But it appears there are some certain section of this country that appears unwilling to come to that round table. But with this and with the promise of the president, if it is not Takia, then it is a welcome development for us to have sustainable peace. And I must demand and I must also say it should go beyond the engagement of the Southeast. This engagement, all the crisis happening in the Middle Belt must also be engaged. This engagement, again in the Southwest, must be engaged. All the regions that are saying we want to go out, we want to do this, listen, I keep saying to us, at the heart of every agitation lies injustice. Just like what we saw happened in Lekki, where you see a minister, where you see a lying machine telling you that nobody died in Lekki. Yet, when the report came out, all they are trying to now do is to discredit the report. Oh, it wasn't the final version. Oh, it was second to the last version. Oh, it wasn't the autopsy. That was a private autopsy. That was freaking how. Who cares? We are not pigs. Any nation that eats her young ones is not fit for purpose. And that's what the nation is. Because if you can look the younger ones that came to fight and to defend even the police oppressing them, but being oppressed as well because they live like pigs. If you go to Bonny Camp and see barracks where your 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 security personnel live, you actually have pity on them to say, how on earth would human be? Because they live in subhuman conditions where you see open sewage everywhere. Oh geez. I'm telling you, many of you who know Lagos very well, who know what I'm talking about. You come in there, you think, geez, how come this is happening? So be that as it may, what I'm saying in essence is I am so happy, I am glad that against all odds, against all odds, that Igbo leaders found their voice and now come together to make this demand. Therefore, please, everyone, you must shed your salt. Those who come online and say, oh, Ohaneze and Diosho, Ohaneze this, Ohaneze that, we must know that Ohaneze has no executive power of executing anything. The only thing they can do is to advise. Therefore, there is a lot of engagement happening. And because this engagement, what you saw today, what I've just shown us is what is in the open. In the last 2 months, I can tell us for free the level of engagement that has gone on. One for for peace to return within the great Igbo nation and beyond, and also for some of these things manifesting today to happen. It gets me so happy that at last this engagement is ongoing. Many people don't know this. just like Abaribe said, I think in a conversation with Osta Chidoka about 2, 3 weeks ago, he said that not many people know that Ralph Wazirike is still is still in bail now. Ralph Wazirike. Remember when late Senator Uchechukwu Merija was the one that negotiated his release under Yaradua. If you watch the statement of Chief Ben Mwabeze, elder statesman, you know, and if you listen very careful, you will hear what he said. He said, "He is my son. If you release him to me, by all ramifications, biologically and otherwise, yes, he's overqualified, and yes, we are all his sons, all of us, biologically and otherwise, because you do not, someone in that league of great Zeke of Africa, someone who, if you listen to some of his interviews, you hear how they, how philosophical they became and how they got to become the part of the young Zikist movement. And eventually, and some of the engagement that eventually gained him the boys' school. Beyond that, he became a minister of aviation. Then, so he has seen it all. And one of the writings that I so much cherished was actually how how the war stopped them from floating an airline with a couple of his friends, all of them from Anambra State. But again, that's a story for another day. So now this report is as done by the Nigerian Television Authority. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put it actually in full now. So then we would also look at Channel's television report in order to see
him
if
that
there is
opportunity
anything that we can.
from the
Sorry.
Minister of Aviation, Chief Mbazulike Amechi. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo tells us more.
The 93-year-old statesman, Chief Mbazulike Amechi, had described the situation in the southeast as painful and pathetic, lamenting that businesses have collapsed, education is crumbling, and there is fear everywhere. During the closed-door engagement, Chief Amechi pleaded for a political rather than military solution, requesting that if Nnamdi Kanu is released to him as the only First Republic minister still alive, he would no longer say the things he had been saying, stressing that he could control him. The Nigerian said twice he had interfaced with Nnamdi Kanu in the past, and the latter rescinded orders earlier given on civil disobedience. He concluded that he doesn't want to leave this planet without peace, returning to his country, maintaining that he believes in one big, united Nigeria, efforts in Africa. Chief Amechi told President Buhari that he wants him to be remembered as a person who saw Nigeria burning and quenched the fire. President Muhammadu Buhari told his guests that they have made an extremely difficult demand on him as leader of the country. The implication of their request, he said, is very serious. The president takes pride in the fact that since coming to power in the last 6 years, nobody would say he had confronted or interfered in the work of the judiciary.
I think at this point, sorry, pardon me if I may laugh. You see, I'm sitting down here listening to this, and he says that Buhari doesn't interfere with the judiciary. I said, well, what do we have to call it when the judges, their houses were invaded? Till today, no one and nothing has come out of those, invasions. We saw Justice Odili's house invaded about 2 weeks ago. Today, all we hear is fake this, fake that, not real, fake this, fake that. Come on. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that actually the president does not in any way interfere with the judiciary. How many times have the judiciary, because part of the reason why this nonsense is lingering is because the president interferes with the judiciary. And I give you an example. recall that there was this interview the president granted with Al Jazeera, and when they were asked, why is it that when the court asked that Nnamdi Kanu be released, you didn't? And the president said, "Are you aware that he came to Nigeria with transmission and he came to Nigeria with two passports?" Oh, that one cracked me up. I said, I never knew not anybody can commit crime by coming into Nigeria with two passports. The person saying that, I believe all his children they have two passports, probably. And it means all of you in the diaspora watching me now. By that definition, it means you're actually committing a crime to fly to Nigeria with two passports. But that's by the way. But by that implication and the utterances that he made, what it means, and very simple so, is by that utterance, he meant, yes, I do appreciate that the judiciary has said release him unconditional, but I'm not going to release him because he was at that point under my custody. That's what it means. It's as simple as that. Because if not, if you had wanted that the judiciary release him, all you could have said at that point is to say, it doesn't concern me, let the judiciary do their job. Again, we are all in this country. If the president was clearly aware, or if he was around then, I bet you that nothing would have happened when, if you remember, Daura, the head of DSS, invaded the National Assembly under Saraki. Saraki is going to come out. They are going to defect from PDP to APC. It was like a cat and mouse. But they invaded the National Assembly, which was in a clear violation, of the concept of separation of powers, where the executive and judiciary are separate arms of government, needed not to have such interference. But again, because we have someone who has something upstairs here in the person of Professor Yemi Osibanjo, and what did he do at that moment? He was angry. He thought, who on earth could have done this? Why would you go? And if they want to decamp to another party, and so what? These are men who came from another party to the ruling party, so they want to go back to their home. So why would you have to then, stop them? And some of you were saying even at that time that Saraki went into the National Assembly, via some means. Some say he slept in the assembly in his office. Some say he was smuggled in the boot of a car. But who knows? But those are tales. The bottom line is that those who invaded another arm of government were roundly punished, and that's the way it should be. And punished, and punishment they got. So hopefully, the point now is that hopefully they are going to get to a point where
unconditional release of the IPOB leader who is currently.
So what it means is that somehow there's going to be a political solution to this, and eventually things might get out. Things might get to be the way people have wished. Now let us listen the same report. Let's listen to what channels.
Hi, I'm Layo Adegoke. Here's your Channels TV news recap for November the 19th, 2021. President Muhammadu Buhari has promised to consider the request for the release of Nnamdi Kanu after meeting with a group of leaders from the southeast under the aegis of highly respected Igbo greats. He made the pledge on Friday when he received a delegation led by a First Republic parliamentarian and former Minister of Aviation Mbazulike Amechi at the State House in Abuja. According to him, an unconditional release of the IPOB leader who is currently standing trial runs contrary to the doctrine of separation of powers between the executive and judiciary.
So obviously, you've heard that again from that angle. Now, I believe in conclusion here of this segment, I believe what is going to happen is that this engagement is now on. There are pressures from all over. The lawyer, in the statement he sent me, they sent us. One of the statement here reads quickly. Let me see. One of the statements they sent, which has been already been published. If you go to njenjemedia.com, you will see that. One of them is a letter they've written to the British High Commission, which they say solitary confinement of Nnamdi Kanu, a British citizen, in the custody of Department of Security of State Security. Blah blah blah. Obviously, and they also wrote to the United Nations the same letter conferred and written to the United Nations. So you see, these things there, in a word of negotiation, everybody wants to negotiate from a position of strength. So what I think is happening here, I honestly, people like me, what I want us to, the end game and end result is that we have fairness, equity, and that the right thing be done. And again, I'm not interested in taking whatever belongs to another person. However, do not ever contemplate in taking that which belongs to me. And that's simple case of fairness. In Igbo, we say, Billy can Billy leave. Let me leave. So is there any way we can eventually come together as a people and begin to speak to one another respectfully? Because if we do, then we can begin to unpick the things that is happening to us. If the people eventually, if the people of Nigeria, like one of the conferences that we had, some of you followed it about 3 days ago. My submission is that we get to a point that these things that everybody talk about will be put in a place. Ethiopia has referendum in their constitution. That doesn't mean that the country is already broken, right? The country is not, and no region has actually called that to use. But again, maybe it will become a check and balance, thing within the constitution to call people to order. Because if we talk about the principle of federal character, then let us adhere to that. If we talk about the principle of meritocracy, then we adhere to that, not changing the game at the middle of changing the rule of the game at the middle of the game. That doesn't help. And finally here, I say let's the engagement continue, and let's everyone say also that there is some form of engagement ongoing, and this engagement, I honestly do believe, if the executive meaning if the presidency and those within the presidency does not begin to develop cold feet, that can actually help that we get somewhere, because the tension across Nigeria, east, west, north, south, it's unhealthy. That must come down. For people to sit down, respectfully begin to say, this is what we want. Because if you say your own, this when negotiation comes in, you put something on the table, I put something on the table, and amicably, we hopefully will get to a place of now finding a middle ground that could work for Mr. A, that could work for Mr. B. Some people have argued it could be that Nigeria could, go into a confederation where the 6 geographical regions with some minor adjustments, could become a quasi nation of their own and allow people the space to develop, allow people the space to have their own regional governance or maybe regional policing structure where someone within your region is the one heading the police within your region because he understands your local language, not someone who comes from a certain region does not understand the culture, does not understand the language, does not understand anything that has to do with the society, and just runs around and claiming to be a head of certain policing force there. That's actually, in my estimation, personally, I don't think that is the right approach to eventually, get to where all of us, everyone, will be happy because there is enough. There is enough. The only thing that sometimes and most times do happen is that you have the conspiracy of the plutocrats, the conspiracy of the elite, and the conspiracy of the tiffin elites. So those who want to turn everybody into Babiala, those who want to turn people, because why would a woman be sent to school? Oh, he sent a woman to school, she will open eye. Yeah, you want a woman to just close eye, go under the table, so that the woman is only good in the other room? Come on. And in the kitchen? No, that is not the current world. The world is moved on. The world is gone. So people got to wake up. People got to wake up. The youth are restive. You know, the youth want something. Look at it now. Cryptocurrency is going up and down, people making money. But what would people who do not probably understand the whole thing, rather than take time to understand something they don't understand, what they do, they ban. Everything is banned. Ban this, ban that, ban this. That's why we have bandit everywhere, because everything is ban, 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 ban. We are bandit in it. Yeah. Anyway, so having said that, people, there is this story. Many of you will know that the American president, that the okay, sorry, someone is asking me a question. It's a mass. How do I get the dot t-shirt? If you like the dot t-shirt, send me an email at okay, or Njenje Media. If you send an email to njenjemedia@gmail.com, that will be forwarded to me. We would sort you out if you're in Europe. We have we have some of these t-shirts in London, so they can send. If you're in Europe, it's easily sent to you from London, maybe Luxembourg, I don't know. Just send me an email. We would arrange for you to get one at a cost, obviously. So, having said that, now there is this. Not just at the beginning, I touched on it, and this is nothing else than that. As you are aware, the American president has gone into, some say his hospital, but obviously he has gone for medical checkup. That's what is written here. Now he says, dear Senator Lee, if you know Senator Lee, is the one behind what they call the Lee law, of not selling arms to countries that abuse arms. That's what that was used. That Lee law, Senator Lee's law, was what was used, or act was what was used against Jonathan when they wanted to deal with Boko Haram, that eventually they had to resort going to the black market. And as you see there, he says, today I will be on today I will undergo a routine medical procedure requiring sedation. In a view of present circumstances, I have determined to transfer temporarily the power and duties of the office of the President of the United States to the Vice President during the brief period of procedure and recovery. In accordance with the provisions of the Section 3 of the 25th Amendment to United States Constitution, this letter shall constitute my written declaration that I am presently unable to discharge the powers and duties of the office of the President of the United States Pursuant to Section 3, the Vice President shall discharge those powers and duties as acting President until I transmit to you a written declaration that I am able to resume the discharge of those powers and duties. You see how it is done. You see how it is done. This is the reason why I think anyone who, in his right senses, would say that what Nigeria did in 2010 under President Goodluck Ebere Jonathan was right, I think that person will need to have his head examined. You know why? It's very simple. There was no need for the National Assembly at that time to engage in what they call the doctrine of necessity. There wasn't any necessity. The president at that point was ill, and the president was flown abroad. And if the president was flown abroad, the president, before he left, unless he was unconscious before he left, but I don't think that was the case. It was a case of some cabals surrounding him that they never wanted to hand over power. This is the way it is done. In fairness to President Muhammad Buhari, the first time he went to London, where he spent over 100 days, he handed over power. That was the first time he did. And because in his absence, the vice president ran the country more than probably many expected, since that time, never have they handed over officially to the vice president. Because when the as acting president, then he fired Daura for DSS invading the National Assembly. You think if Osibanjo was the president and those eminent Igbo leaders who came to Abuja to join the legal proceedings, and when they were turned back, you think if Osibanjo was as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he would keep quiet? Of course, he understands the legal implication of that door shut by the DSS. He understands that. But again, there are probably certain people who may not want to have that things run normal. Certain people will have to use our feet to count, our tongue to count our teeth. Now, there is something interesting here, people. This is the first time a black, quote unquote, no, why should I call her black? She's not like this. A brown woman. No, put it that way. This is the first time a brown woman will become the president of America. Because by the virtue of being an acting president, she's invariably a president. Now, some will say there was a prophecy by the former American president, President Ford, when he said that a woman will become American president, and when that happens, that the men ought to be scared of the consequences thereafter. Because again, also as Ozemene Nsugbe would always say in Igbo, no nwoke walụ nwaanyị okoto mugosili ọgbụgba akwụna akwụna. So probably, sorry, I can't translate. Probably that's what is meant here. Now let's have a listen on this.
Because it won't happen in the normal course of events. Either the Republican or Democrat political party will nominate a man for president and a woman for vice president. And the woman and man will win. So you'll end up with a president, a male, and a vice president, a female. And in that term of office of the president will die. And the woman will become president under the law or constitution. And once that barrier is broken, from then on, men better be careful.
Say from that time on, once that barrier is broken, the men better be careful. Some of you are now saying that Donald Trump never handed power to anyone. Mike Pence. I don't know. At some point he even fought Mike Pence at the end of the day. I don't want to get into trouble with some people because I know I have a lot of trumpeters as loyal subscribers and supporters of this platform. I do not have any reason to make you guys upset. Therefore, I would gingerly move away from anything that concerns Trump before some of you will bugashimi, you know. So I don't want to, please do not drag me to that. I would never and I would not get involved with anything that has to do with Trump. I just want to live a normal life. Okay. He said, this was coming. Now, people, listen to this. Now let's go to Imo State. Let's go to Imo State. You will laugh on this. Imo State, the Imo State governor was addressing the press. He said that the reason why he hasn't done the most things he ought to have done, because in Imo, as my good friend Charlie Boy said on this platform, knows Adegema. So when before somebody comes to your house, or they need to ring you and say, hello, I hope knows Odimma. So if you tell the person no, Ozadege that means the person is not going to come. Now, in this, the governor of Imo State is now saying these are his reasons. Listen to this.
I, Brahuna Imo State, there were a lot of things to do in Imo State. And what those always are Ganimo. Milliana, but the Okra de Wu. I go on the plenty. Over the state capital, Adrock state capital.
Sometimes when politicians talk, I laugh. Or a state capital is not a state capital. He just realized it. You've been a Senate. You've been part of the governance of Urucha Sukorocha, and suddenly you realize that the state capital is not like capital. Come on.
I have a check, I guess, be the government. And if you don't know, got them, you do it too, will record the state capital. Before I had our Imobodo. Yeah, we had email within 1 year. During this 1 year, immediately I started. Always one crisis after the other.
Okay.
From NSAS protests to COVID-19 to unknown government. I get away, huh? Over the Lalihi. Oya kanji ono. I na ba ime obodo na ka I ga mepe ime obodo. Achọdụ m eweta ihe ele weta ya la nzuzo. Achọrọ m ihe na-abata n'ime obodo ndị nwe obodo amara na ihe na-abata. Ọ wee ka anyị jiri kpọọ the critical stakeholders. Unu nwa nọ unu were bata. Nke anyị ga-emerịrị na between now and Christmas. We make sure that every ward in Imo State, and we all log, I get me up by there, a home prog, a home equipment says a lemada.
Now they said, okay. He said the reason why these things are delayed is because of the NSAS, and after COVID, NSAS, and UGM on gun men. Now, the whole thing is, aside COVID, every other thing that is linked to that is bad governance. Have you forgotten the reason why NSAS actually went out of hand at some point? And even those regions and those places that never partook in NSAS, and they became the greatest looters and actually looted tractors. That's the first time I've seen human beings actually cannibalizing tractors. How huge and humongous those industrial equipments were, but they were cannibalized within minutes. Now, you talk about the palliative, the hoarding of palliative and the people discovering their own share, their own share. So anyone saying that the palliatives were looted, I think is one of those things I wouldn't agree, because the palliatives weren't looted. The palliatives were taken by the rightful owners. Okay. Now you talk about UGM, the ungovernment. It's also as a result of bad governance. These are uh, when we talk about element of criminality, because that's what it is. There is no two ways about it. There is no if, there is no but. But at the end of the day, you just ask yourself. Now, he's saying that what I found a little bit funny, however, is that he is here saying that there will be hospitals or health centers at every ward before Christmas. I'm like, what the hell? Before Christmas? What's today's date? 19th. So basically, in less than 35 days, you like, okay, what you've been unable to build in close to 2 years, you're going to build in how many months? Weeks? Come on. And to crown it, Nan, he has to say this as well. He said this.
Referral to the general hospital and from there to the tertiary hospital. So I think it is a commitment we made to improve on the healthcare program in Imo State and then extend the healthcare facilities and services to the remote areas to enable our people have access to quality healthcare.
Are you building new ones or rehabilitating?
We are rehabilitating all the existing ones and equipping the newly completed ones.
So now I have a job for you, anyone who is from Imo State. Because if we want a good and a functional society, we must cease to be passive and we must become active. Please, if you're from Imo State, you can send me videos and photos from this. Let us take this upon ourselves. Do not expect Mazezoke to be everywhere, and let no one tell me, Mazezoke, you should come to Imo and see for yourself. All I want you to do now, we've been promised in Imo State that between now and Christmas, all the health centers in Imo will be equipped with equipment, and medications will be there for people to take. And I wonder if the presidency that budgets billions have been unable to equip and put common strange. I mean, not me, I didn't make it up. That is the wife of the president saying that even common strange is not in the Asorok clinic. So, people, what you need to help me do is to, if you are watching me, if you know anyone, and if you are from Imo State, let them go take us pictures and get us videos of these places. You and I must begin to get these people. Now, it's no longer about engagement. We must begin to drag them by their legs. Let us begin to drag them. There is something that is going to come up on this platform. Starting from 2021, maybe we'll start this year, some of it. We will have what we call Meet Your Reps. All the reps in the southeastern Nigeria, from the Senate to the National Assembly, Njenje Media will be bringing them here to question them what they have done for you since they've been there. We must change the way I think we have taken a back seat for a long time. And the same would apply with the governors. Meet your governor. It's going to be like a town hall, virtual. The date will be announced. We will have, and you will join. You will be allowed to ask questions. Those things that you think bothers you, we must democratize it on this platform for the people of the Southeast. Charity, they say, begin at home. Because at the end of the day, what is the essence of someone representing you but not representing you? If he does represent you as they claim to do, then we have the right to know the things they have done on our behalf. It's as simple as that. No insult, just a conversation to understand. Let's assume to see nothing. Without mentioning name, I know people have engaged, and it gets me mad. Some of you who are close to me in private will know what I'm talking about. There was a road attracted in my state by Ochenda Amici, Simon Okeke. And that road is the Nnewi Ekulumili Oga Unubi Ezinifite Akokwa Arondizog Road. If you come from Oba and you want to go to Owerri or Omahe, that's, in the 90s, that's the best road you do. But hey, we have had people from those areas who were senators and who slept probably close to the men in power, yet they were not able to influence that road, and that road remains death trap. What is death trap is even good. I mean, it's touch and die. That's what that road is, because it's not a death trap. It's touch and die road. If you touch it, you die. Yet, people claim to be representing us. Now, we need to turn the table. But turning this table, we'll turn this table in a very respectable manner, while we hold them to account and to account to us. Because in our names, a lot of things have been done in our names. But here, we must now begin to change the narrative. And that's what I believe. We must begin to change the narrative. This question, Jesus is my father. He says, Njenje, I have a question for you. My question is this: are you working for the Nigerian terrorists government? I think the question is as silly as it comes. But again, I would not oblige you with any response, because first of all, that's actually not your name. So, use your real name before I can engage you. Thank you. So, having said that, people, now let's look at this conversation as well. And this is from Arise TV. And this has to do with the letter written by the council to the indigenous people of Biafra. Let's have a listen to this.
Separatist leader has not been allowed to change clothes since he was arrested and detained in the custody of the Department of State Services. The lawyer alleged that Kanu has been subjected to harsh, degrading and inhumane treatment in the DSS custody, and that prisoners who visit Kanu are subsequently detained as punishment for exchanging pleasantries with the IPOB leader. The lawyer also claimed that Kanu is confined to a very tiny cell, 23 hours of the day, without access to sunlight and any social interactions whatsoever, and believes the punishment is aimed at inflicting extreme emotional and mental distress on Kanu, who has been seen wearing the same Fendi apparel during his court appearances. I mean, there were so many allegations. Ifeanyi Ejiofor and the other lawyers of Nnamdi Kanu alleged the maltreatment of Nnamdi Kanu in DSS custody is completely appalling and unfair. I'm not even sure if this is how they treat prisoners that are undergoing trial, Tundu, at this point. So many things like his glasses, medication, he's not allowed to sleep on a pillow, people are not allowed to talk to him. And this outfit, I actually thought that he wanted to just wear it to his court appearance. But now everyone on Twitter is talking about the outfit. Even some people are making mockery, saying that maybe they actually even thought that it was Fendi sponsoring the lawsuit, but that's on a lighter note. But I mean, can you believe all of the allegations, Tundu Abiola?
Nigerians and our gallows humor. When you don't want to cry, you just have to try and make yourself laugh in the face of all kinds of horrors. You know, I have experience, first-hand experience of this, and all I can say for Nnamdi Kanu is that I hope he doesn't go through this for 4 years like my father did.
Yes.
4 long years. That was his reality. And the next thing that's going to happen is because these reports come out and make the federal government look bad, the next thing is that they could stop people from seeing him at all, and he'll just be there all by himself, no access even to a doctor, even to a lawyer, certainly no family members like what we went through as a family. And I saw Nnamdi Kanu during his court appearance, you know, trying to put a brave face on things. You know, men and their pride, he doesn't want to show. I guess he doesn't want to even sort of weaken the people who really believe in him and support him. He's trying to put a brave face on it, trying to look normal. But what he's going through is the exact opposite of normal, which is why I've sat here on a few occasions and said people should be very careful with their utterances, with their actions, so that they do not get this man killed. It has happened before. It must never happen again. And it's just very sad that here we are in 2021, after people, well, my dad died for democracy. We're still having this conversation in 2021 of somebody being treated so appallingly, like they're kind of a serial killer. Under what circumstances should somebody be treated like this?
I was going to ask.
So I'm hoping that the DSS will come out with a statement and completely deny these accusations and prove that the accusations are completely false and that he is being allowed a change of clothes. I mean, really. This is, you know, there's all kinds, we think of, I don't know, Guantanamo Bay and, you know, water torture and, you know, the loud music blaring as forms of torture. But then solitary confinement is a form of torture.
It is.
Putting somebody in a tiny cell for 23 hours is a form of torture. And it's just really sickening. We're still having this conversation in this country. Over to the DSS, I really do hope that they actually deny this and that denial is true.
Yes, we're waiting for that. Rufai.
I mean, when you look at all the accounts, let's not forget that Nnamdi Kanu has got rights in this country. And those rights, please, for the sake of peace in this country, must be enforced. You can't keep a man without change of clothes for how many months now? The times he has appeared in court, keeps wearing one same clothes. Let him get a change of clothes. If he needs to see his doctors, let him see his doctors. If he needs to talk to his lawyers, let him talk to his lawyers. Because it is a gory experience, being in solitary confinement. My first vivid understanding of this was through the works of Wole Soyinka, The Man Died, his prison memoirs. It is not a good place to be at all. Another experience of this was through the works of A Day in the Life of Denzel Ivanovich. This was another prison account of how gory and debilitating and excruciatingly painful the experience of prison is. The psychological trauma for life is something he'll deal with. People never get out of it. They get panic attacks all their lives. So please, every right possible should be accorded to him. But as I always repeat, how did we get here? We got here because the sufferings of the people were looked away from. We got here because of marginalization. And today, the roster goes on. It is Nnamdi Kanu today, and I ask, who is it tomorrow? At some point, if Isaac Adakaboro was to tell you his experience, he'll say similar things. But when the nation went to war in the 60s, Adakaboro fought on the side of the government. Why do we keep having people that go against the state and they get some legitimacy? The state has to be fair for all.
Absolutely.
In all of this, we keep pleading, if possible, the state has to be fair for all. I'm not saying that anything is a utopia, that if the state starts being fair now, we will not have people agitate. But in all of this, if the state is fair, a lot of people will say, yes, there's a level of fairness. But can we truly say over the years, like in the case of Kensaro, we were and the Ogoni 9, the state was fair. We can't keep doing this to ourselves.
I think you're so lucky to be referring to memoirs rather than real life experience. But if you're talking prison memoirs, Ballad of Red and Gold, that poem, Oscar Wilde, and for me, my favorite, well, because it's just harrowing, Boethius, in 500 AD or something, the Roman senator, that was eventually executed. His prison memoirs is
so sad. Really?
Really,
Well, we're waiting for an explanation on this allegation. We'll take another story. Well, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has come under fire again on social media.
Before we get to the live machine, what did I say? This my mouth self will put me for trouble. Why do I? Okay.
You get it? Okay. If you don't get it, forget about
it. I hope you get it. Now, before I move on, and that will be my last one, then I'll probably open the telephone lines for many of you to air your views about the visit of the Igbo leaders to the president. Before I do that, I would, specifically, the person that calls himself something Jesus, was there again? I would want someone like you to call, because I want you to, if possible, I want you to come online and show your face as well. Jesus is my father. Obviously, that's not your real name, but I would want someone like you, once it's time, that you can also come up here and make your contribution. Conditions are that, you have to come into the studio, show your face like I'm showing my face. So then if there is anything you have to say, I can now reply you knowing that you're not a bot or a robot. Either way. So what I'm trying to say is that I agree with Rufai. It hurts me personally, again, not individual specific, that basic rights of any human, be it you watching me, be it NK, be it me, be it Gumi, be it the one in Kaduna, whoever, that our rights should be protected. That is the basic tenet of principles of rule of law. Is that too much to ask? Sometimes that's why, people say people are agitating, but that is it. At the back of every agitation lies injustice. Is it too much to ask? Sometimes it just makes you, honestly, the whole thing just makes you sick. But again, I would honestly, you see, the link to join me is now been shared on the chat section, so you can click on it and come on, and you want to speak to me about your opinion. What do you think about the visit of the Igbo leaders to see President Muhammadu Buhari? But on doing that, condition is that your camera must be on. If your camera is not on and you do not have your real name, sorry, you cannot join me. That is as simple as that.
Over his comments on media freedom in Nigeria, the minister, while speaking at the ongoing 45th United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization Conference in Paris on Thursday, said that Nigeria is completely different from how it's being perceived internationally, and that he is yet to see any country that is more liberal than Nigeria in granting access to information by the media.
When my 7-year-old grandson called me and said, "Grandpa, tell me the truth. Why do they call you Liar Mohammed?"
Is at the mercy of the media in Nigeria. This is completely, bizarre. We are just talking about, the ban on social media, the fines that have been imposed here and there, even the narrative to be clamped down on, by the media. And, the Minister of Information is saying this. I mean, I guess he's trying to sell the country as usual. But we all know that freedom of, there's really no freedom of information at this point, just given the fact that we really don't even have access to Twitter.
Yes, I mean, you're right, he's doing his job. Yeah. That's what he's expected to say.
Absolutely.
But Reporters Without Borders have actually rated Nigeria this year at 120 in the world in terms of press freedom. And we've fallen 5 places. Last year we were 115 out of 180 countries. And they said that Nigeria is one of the most dangerous places in West Africa to be a journalist. So they would disagree vehemently with the Minister of Information. He might want to have a look at their report, and possibly, if he does want that for Nigeria, if he wants Nigeria to be this bastion of press freedom, he might want to read their report and try and put some things in place.
If he's not picking hole in that report of Reporters Without Borders, the truth has to be said. Yeah, he can do his job. He should make Nigeria look good. Yes, we want things to be better in the country. We want Nigeria to do well. But the question is it the same? No. Things are not well as regards press freedom. The Vanguard journalist was killed. We're hearing all sorts of cock and bull stories. They said he was hit by a hit-and-run driver, and for 29 days they didn't find his body. Now they found his body. It is difficult being a journalist in this country.
Exactly.
We told a story.
Exactly.
That a lot of the regulators didn't even verify with a timestamp the veracity of the video, and we're all fined. The 3 top networks in the country were fined.
And we were upgraded.
Yeah.
We were not just fined, we were upgraded.
I
haven't been talked to like
so
that since
the
I
3
was
top
school.
networks in the country were fined because they took a position on the story.
Right.
He further went to say that 145 online news sites are speaking against the government. You see, there is a room for narrative in media. And that's why, I'm sorry, I'm not a school of thought of this neutrality in media. What the media will promote is plurality. There's no, anybody that tells you neutrality is lying. He doesn't know media.
True.
So if there are plural voices, you have the right to put your voice out there.
Exactly.
Like we are enunciating his views, but we are being plural by giving another view to it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way media works.
Exactly. But some of you listening to me now would only want to just hear about one direction. You see, it doesn't make you intellectually sound to just lean in one place. That's why because when you want to analyze something, you're not only looking in one place, you bring in from here, and you also want to get the other side of the story in order to have a very balanced view. But again, it appears it ilks some of us. You just want to live in your little cocoon and only spew nonsense, most times just from that cocoon, without considering that the world does not only revolve around you. No, the world, what the Germans call, or what this German philosopher called Weltanschauung. World view, your Weltanschauung, as Germans would say, muss auch groß sein, muss auch, so breit. Ne? Es muss nicht nur in einer Linie. Ne? Nein, das geht gar nicht. So it doesn't. Modi Obonna, thank you very much for the super sticker. We do appreciate that super sticker. Thank you very much. The first super sticker for this evening. So honestly, I agree. But one thing, and many of us want to behave like the lying machine without actually knowing it, because anything that does not tally with the government sees it as something anti-government. That's what it is. I remember in 2018 when I went to Onitsha, the second Niger bridge, the first person that gone there to do a live video, the Nigerian police, the Nigerian army, customs, they accosted me. Why? Because they do not want alternative view. They just want everyone to stay in their houses. You come and tell us the second Niger bridge is XYZ completed. Then if it is at that point XYZ completed, why was the police Why were the security agents stopping me from even streaming and getting those live feed for people to see? But, some of us will now come back and say, oh, why are these things this way? When you only want to hear one side of the story, there must be pluralistic view. That's why, especially in Igbo, that's why we are Republicans. You say your mind, I say mine. But again, most times you report something that is happening. So all you hear some let me not use some foul language say is, oh, you've been bought over. Oh no, you want Njenje media to be only reporting that they killed somebody in here, and the other one something nice is also happening, and you want to report it, and you think it's everybody must be paid to report anything. No, it is internal resources are being used to report those things. So if you don't like it, you close up and go somewhere else. But the thing is that truth, verifiable facts must be reported, irrespective of whose ox is God. We stand on truth, verify. If it's not verified, oh, something is happening here. Like some people took offense. What there was one other time, I think earlier this year, they said one Chisco, I think it was Chisco, going from wherever was ambushed, killed, blah blah blah. I mean, when we made those calls, how can, if a transportation company is telling you we've looked at our inventory, all the buses and the trucks are all intact, the drivers, they've spoken to them, nothing of such happened. Then somebody says, oh, people, oh, this is a fake news. Say, no, he's been paid, he's been bought over. So, just like, what's wrong with us? People, you got to wake up. So I have a guest here. I have Chooks Obibu Eze. Chooks, I bring you to the studio. You're welcome to Njenje Media TV. So may we know you? Can we, may I meet you? Can you hear me? Chooks, can you hear me? So, I think he can hear me. He's there actually, in in front of camera. But people, that's it. But honestly, I like the way Rufai took that conversation. Basically,
So, and I'm sure for the 145 sites online that says speaks against the government, speaks against Nigeria, there are 1,000 more that speaks in favor of. But based on our views, on my view this morning, it is not the case, because all we have seen is high-handedness. And the regulators that are supposed to be independent have been used to fight the media. Go and see how media regulators are made up in ordinary Ghana. It is set up in such a way that the government even have no business talking to the regulators in the first place. But here, the minister can tell the regulators, shut them down. They will shut us down. So for the fact that the regulator that is supposed to be independent is fighting to be free, then you say there's press freedom. If he really wants press freedom, or if he claims there is press freedom, we should start by changing the laws that formed NBC in the first place.
They were just upgraded.
And take the NBC away from the control of the ministry. And let's see how that works. Let the NBC truly be independent. Let's start from there. Then we'll know we're on the path of press freedom. This country can be great, but we must have plural voices in making this country great.
Absolutely.
That's his view. There's another view. Plurality.
Well, all right. We'll take another story.
Well, I mean, again, I cannot agree more. Honestly, we must have, plurality of opinion. There must be, everyone must be in a position to speak their mind. Everyone must be in a position to really disagree with one another in a civil manner. What I do not subscribe to is when you disagree with someone, you use unprintable words, to describe the individual. No, we can always disagree. That's what, basically, that is the basic pillar of democracy. You say your mind, I say my mind. And coming from a society where we have where we go for kindred meeting, I tell people this, as Igbo, have you ever, or has it ever occurred to you to note that Igbo actually vote less in their meetings? You know why? Because they allow everybody to speak their mind before whoever is presiding over that meeting. Basically, what he does is only to summarize whatever the people have discussed. And you do not, for critical decisions to happen, you virtually see that people will vote. All you will hear, at the end of the day, we hear, is it what we agreed on? And everybody will shout, yeah. That's it. And if you pay attention when you go to kindred meeting, that's the way it works. He says, everybody would agree in unison, because you must allow issues to be discussed. You must allow issues. I mean, of course, there are varying opinions. I mean, there are people in the comment section here, even sometimes saying nasty things, even sometimes, trying to insult. But again, because it is a Libra platform that is based on facts and based, you may not like it sometimes because, I yank emotion out of conversations. Let's bring in logic, because it's only when we begin to look at issues dispassionately, obviously, as Rufai has just done now, that's when we will begin to unlearn and relearn some of the things that we have learned over the years that is holding us backwards. And that is my candid opinion on this. Again, I am still Mazes, the dotted one, unapologetically so, unapologetically dotted. If you don't like it, go look for the next transformer where there is oversupply. Ensure that there is no protection in the transformer and go and kiss it. Then you come and tell me your experience afterwards. Maybe afterwards you repent. Oh, people, thank you very much for thank you everyone for being part of this conversation. The conversation must continue. Again, I think it is in the right direction that the leaders of the great Igbo nation have now begun to engage in the right places. They are now engaging with the presidency, and I believe that we may see things begin to turn around. Again, one of the reasons why they went is that they said the militarization of the Southeast. Obviously, some of the pictures that I got about 2 days ago, it's also not encouraging, But be that as it may, through civil engagement, we will eventually get back to where we were a couple of months in terms of peace and tranquility. On that note, everyone, I will say thank you very much for being my guest. All I ask of us is to please, please, please subscribe, like this video, and share with every one of us. It's just very simple. Subscribe, like, share. Easy. Subscribe, like, share. Freely you received, and freely you shall give unto others. On that note, I say good night, everyone. I am still Mazi Ezoke.
I have so many power. Le Baduse play Lamante. I have Abido Shaker. I have never touched those ones. I have Dabus Kabash. Yes. I have Ganduka Gandusa. Mbeg Iwalonios.
All right. Have you voted?
I'm voted, yeah.
Okay, so
I'm happy as I'm voted, yeah.
Tell me your feeling after voting today.
Yeah, after voting, I'm feeling okay. What I want, I get it on the result. I'm getting the party I want is the one going on. Thank you for that.
What are you expecting from these people you voted?
I'm voted, they can do what you want, and then when they want, what they want, inshallah, we'll happiness more. isn't it? So then please, I won't beg them. We suffer almost 10 hours we are standing because of what we want. We need change. And then the person we need, he's the one on the party we want, isn't it? So please, we want change.
Change? What kind of change?
The change of situation which we are now.
What is the situation you are in?
Situation of sufferness. Isn't it? Yeah, we are suffer. How many years? As you see, 12 years forward. I mean, almost 40-something years. I don't know what is government did for me. It's come out of this like this radio. I don't know. I don't know. Actually, yeah. I have to complain. I mean, Nigeria really. Almost 40-something years. I don't know what is government. So I need change. The person I know is going to change this thing by force, whether the leader they want or not. Any person which is bad, he must escape in this country, or he be hidden like how they are hiding poor people inside prison, which you don't have a court attendant. Inshallah, we need Buhari to change this country.
You will be a past participant. Hey! Ebu agomia. One day we go here. Say yesterday you are a past. So very soon you shall be past. Party. One day. Say tickle. Say tickle.